Hi everyone, welcome to Dahai's channel. Tonight we are thrilled to have our guest Mike back from. He's from PPC Entourage. He used to give us talk about how to do your advertising more. PPC Entourage is a PPC software, and there is some big news around PPC Entourage. So Mike, what's the news?
Hey everyone, thank you so much for having me back. I'm excited to share the information today. So yeah, PPC Entourage has been around for several years, and we were just acquired by Carbon 6, and now we're working with a much bigger team. So I'm excited to share that information because that means we have more resources to help all the sellers out. We're going to be working on our tool, making it as good as it can possibly be, but also delivering information like this more on a regular basis that I think is going to help everyone out. So yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, so today Mike will tell us how to score more in Q4. That's Wang Ji in Chinese. So we all prepare to sell more in the Q4, the Thanksgiving and Christmas. So Mike, start your presentation.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, this is me a few years ago. I was a physiotherapist, and I got into Amazon at around the time that I was taking this photo. And I realized that is a way better career for me. And I decided to start a business in Amazon, which led to software, PPC Entourage. And eventually, like I said before, we have been acquired by Carbon 6. So I've been studying advertising since 2015. And we start to see the same patterns over and over with regards to the things that you can do for Q4 to get ready for Q4. So today I'm going to talk all about what you can do to improve your performance in Q4. And also we're going to talk about some of the newer things that are out, some of the things that you could take advantage of that maybe you're not aware of quite yet. So let's dive in. The first thing that's the most important is if you are a seller for many years, you want to go back to last year to see what worked and what didn't work. Because you have the advantage of being around for some time, you are a seasoned seller, you can go back and look at your campaigns. You can go look at your SKU performance. You can see which ad types worked really well. All of these things, you want to start to see, how did I perform last year? But also look to see, what can I do to make improvements from last year? Were there mistakes that I made that cost me a lot of money? Some of those mistakes we'll go over in this presentation, and hopefully you can catch it before the large wave of traffic comes. But it's important to also just to go back last year. Now, if you have access to, let's say, PPC Entourage or another software tool, you're going to likely have all of that data from last year. So it's going to be a lot easier to go back and check it out. If you have access to Seller Central, they allow you to go back to the beginning of 2022. So that's not going to help quite as much. But also now Amazon has given us access to the search query performance report, which is really, really helpful. Now, later on in this presentation, or perhaps on the follow-up presentation, we're going to go into the search query performance report in much more detail. But know now that you can look into the performance of how you did last holiday season by going into this report and even looking on an ASIN level. So take a look at how this looks. As you can see, I have selected the month of December, and this is for the year of 2021. I would suggest going back to the month of November, maybe even October, and starting to see the trends of how you performed last year. Then you can look at your major ASINs, and you can see which search terms you showed up for, that you had impressions for, and you could start to see how you compare to your competition with regards to impression share, with regards to click share, add to cart share, and purchase share. Now, once again, there's a lot that goes into this report. And it's really important to understand what you're looking at when you go here. So I want you to make sure that you follow up and listen to the presentation that I give on this, because I'm going to describe exactly why the numbers are a little bit different and what you can make out of the numbers to do very well in Q4. Now, the reason why I bring this up at this part of the presentation is you can now use this information to see which search terms showed up in the month of December and how you performed last year. You can then also take that information to see if there's any giftable search terms that you could then target in your campaigns. And you could also start to see which search terms people are purchasing on and which ones people are just browsing on. And it starts to give you that feel for how you did last year. So just to sum it up in this section, like I said before, we really want to go back to last year and see what worked, what didn't work, and get an idea as to how you can take those lessons and move them forward into this year. Now, another important part that really ties into that last part is you want to know your goals. And this is going to be different for every single seller out there. It's also going to be different based on, what products you're selling and also how long those products have been around. What I'm trying to say is every SKU should have a different goal. So is the goal for that SKU, is it to maximize profit? Is the goal to increase brand visibility? Maybe you just want to get brand awareness. Is the goal to clear some stale inventory that's been sitting around for a long time? Is the goal to break even? Do you want to sell at a profit? Do you want to sell at a loss because you're gaining customers and those customers are going to come back over and over and over again? Once again, all of these different goals, which are tied to individual SKUs or categories of SKUs, have to be known before you start Q4. If you don't know these goals, then there's going to be a very difficult, it's going to be very difficult to really track your progress and know which campaigns you need to set forth for Q4. For example, let's say you wanted to increase brand visibility and you want to take advantage of all of the traffic of Q4 and just get as many eyeballs as possible. Well, then you would want to take advantage of sponsored brand ads, sponsored brand video ads, and sponsored display ads. You're going to want to have a separate budget for that. But let's say you wanted to really just hone in on maximizing profitability. Well, then more likely you would focus in on sponsored product ads and you'd find the keywords where you convert really well. So once again, know what your goals are and then tie those goals to different KPIs. For example, having a KPI for ROAS and ACOS. And let's say you wanted to break even. Well, then you need to know what your break even margin point is and tie that into the ACOS target for that goal. You could also tie to KPIs with regards to number of impressions, viewable impressions. And this is a really good one, new to brand sales, which you can do for all of the different ad types, except for sponsored product ads. You can see if your ads have led to new to brand sales. All right, so tying everything all together, knowing your goals, and then setting KPIs is really important because if you don't set KPIs as the month's going on, you're not going to know if you're hitting your target or your goals, and you're going to be going about it without any sort of plan, which could lead to wasted ad spend and loss of opportunity because it is a really big opportunity. All right, now, a couple more basic things. It's really important, and this one is critically important to do throughout the year, not just for the Q4, but the more you can improve your click-through rate percentage and your conversion rate percentage, the better your advertising performance is going to be. So this is 50% of the battle, is making sure that you're optimizing for click-through rate and conversion rate. Because if you can sell the click and get people to click on your listing for those competitive keywords, and then you can convert them at a higher rate, your advertising performance is going to work much, much better. So there's a couple of things that Amazon just released that I'll talk about in a second that I think is going to really help you out. But first, I want to go over the basics. So I have some images that I'll show you after this, but I want to go through this point by point. The first one, obviously, adding a coupon makes your product stand out a little bit more because you have this bright orange badge and you're offering a discount, which is attractive to a lot of shoppers. So adding a coupon is one way to improve your click-through rate and your conversion rate. Another thing is adding badges, and I'll go through a couple of different badge options you can see in the image I'll show you. But getting a badge will help to improve the size of your listing. And when shoppers are looking at different products and they see that you have all of these extra badges, it actually makes your listing stand out. It makes your image look bigger. It makes your product look bigger than your competition, and you're more likely to get a click compared to your competitors. So trying to get these badges can really improve the performance of your advertising. Next, we have seasonal creative. And this is creative that's going to tell a story about your product and help shoppers realize that this could be a giftable item. This could be something that would be nice under the Christmas tree or wrapped as a present given to someone that they care for. So you want to make sure that you can take your current listings, your storefront, and give it a bit of a seasonal creative twist. And once again, I'll show a couple of examples of that as well. Next, we have a major opportunity, and we're going to go into this in a little bit more detail on this presentation. That is premium A+ content. Now, previously, the premium A+ content cost $250,000 so that only big brands were able to take advantage of the premium A+ content. But now Amazon is opening this up to many other sellers because they realize that it creates a much better experience for the shopper and that the listings look much better. So if you have a brand registry and if you have submitted, I think at least 15 A+ content submissions in your time as a brand, I believe then you qualify for the premium A+ content, and once per month they're going to take the applications and approve people who meet the qualifications. So that means at the time of this recording, there's still several more days that you could do it in October so that you could have this potentially ready for the holiday season. This is a major opportunity because, like I said before, anything that improves your conversion rate is going to improve your advertising performance. And this is probably one of the biggest things that can improve your conversion rate because it looks so good. And there's so many different things that you can add. On top of that, if you have a better listing, there's less chance that people are going to bounce from your listing and go to your competitors. We'll talk about that later on as well, that you want to really fill out your listing in various ways so that your competition can't sneak in and steal some of your sales. So next we have copy tweaks. And this means taking some of your bullet points, maybe your product description, and adding some copy that is more seasonal, letting people know that this could be a giftable item or a stocking stuffer. You could even throw in and sprinkle in some seasonal keywords for some SEO. Doesn't have to be done. But the point is, making some simple copy tweaks can be very helpful. Just remember that you want to revert all of this back after the holidays because you don't want to leave this for months and months and months, and it doesn't look very good if you leave it when it's not the holidays. And then finally, the brand story. The brand story is available to all brand owners, and I don't think a lot of sellers are utilizing this as much as they could. The brand story, once again, fills out the product page very well and tells a story about your brand. There are several different cards. I will show you an example in a second, but you can make this brand story seasonal and you can add some elements to it that really makes it pop out in an easy way for the holiday season. So here's an example on mobile of what a listing looks like that has several different badges compared to a listing that has no badges. As you can see, the one on the top is much larger and stands out much more. And the percentage increase is substantial in terms of the size of the actual listing. So this helps your product to stand out. It may even stretch out your image a little bit to make it fill out more of the space. And as you know, the main image is super important, but most importantly, it shows some social proof. There's some badges that go along with it. And you can then hopefully get the click better than your competition. Now, there's a couple of badges that you see here. You see the Climate Pledge Friendly badge. Now, that's an option to get that. You could also get the Small Business badge. And, you know, obviously the coupon as well, which I actually don't see a coupon here. Yeah, they're missing. Oh, yes. See, there's the coupon here. So there is a coupon here. There's no coupon here. So there's 2 badges here compared to no badges down here. So I would highly encourage that you look into emailing Amazon and getting access to some of these badges to increase your listing, to improve performance. Here's an example of seasonality. As you can see here, this brand has done it really well. This is McCormick, which is a major spice brand, very popular in the USA. If you go to the website, sellwinconsulting.com, they have several other examples of how to make your listing seasonal. Amazon even allows you to program into the A+ content to put this live. You can schedule it, which is really great. You can build it and then schedule it. And you can see here that they have a big difference between November, which is more of the at-home, home for the holidays, Thanksgiving feel, versus December, which is more of the Christmas feel, versus the January, which is just more of a normal year-round feel. So really big difference between the two. You don't have to go crazy with this. Obviously, this is a big brand, but you could send this off to a designer, send your images off to a designer, and have them add some elements of the holidays, some gift wrapping, you know, maybe take some pictures underneath a tree, or maybe take some pictures with some tinsel or something of that nature to make it a little bit more holiday themed. Here's another example of brands that are doing it right. This is Hershey's. You can see their storefront has some gift wrapping paper and also has some giftable items. And they have a nice giftable headline, put the happy in your holiday. Very nice. And you could see that it's just speaking to the shopper in a different way compared to the image on the right, which is their storefront in the January season. Very basic, you know, lots of branding across the different types of chocolate, and just more of a basic feel in the month of January. We're going to go into this in a little bit more detail in a few minutes, but this is a picture of the A+, premium A+ content. And you could see how impressive this is. Now, once again, I mentioned before that this is $250,000, or it was, and now it's available to sellers. All you have to do is apply for it, which is amazing. So look at the width of the screen, the width that it takes up on the screen. It takes up the whole width, which is super impressive because you're not going to be drowned out by other elements on the page. And there's various things you can do here, such as video, and you can do like slideshows and different shoppable images and various other things that I'll show you live in just a moment. But I wanted to point out that this is probably the biggest takeaway of this part of the presentation, is to apply for this because it's so worthwhile. Here's an example of the brand story. So you can see here that what's cool about this is they made it seasonal. So we have in the USA, we have Halloween, which is really big, October 31st, where we celebrate everything that has to do with scary situations. So as you can see, Hershey's is taking advantage of that by updating their brand story background. Very simple. They've updated their cards, but they've also updated their background image to come up with this really nice image with a pumpkin and the candy and the scary theme. Running out is scary. This is a really simple tweak that you can make to your listing to give it that seasonal vibe that won't take you very long to put together. Very affordable, a very easy and simple thing to do. All right, so before we go over and go on Amazon and give you a live example of the premium A+ content, there's a really big update. Now, this is probably the second most important thing of this presentation, because in order to improve your click-through rate and your conversion rate, it's really important to test on a regular basis. So I'm sure that you're aware that Amazon has the experiment feature, But I'm not sure if you're aware that Amazon has made updates to the experiment feature over the last few weeks. So the great thing about the experiment is that it allows you to see which image performs better than another image, or which title performs better than another title, or now which bullet points or A+ content works better than another bullet point or A+ content. So you're comparing the two, and Amazon will alternate equally the different images or title, depending on what test you set up or what experiment you set up, to see which one is better. So this worked really well. Unfortunately, before, it would take 6 to 8 weeks to get a result. So I don't think a lot of sellers were utilizing this on a regular basis because it took so long to get to a result. However, recently, there's been some updates. So these are the updates. Now, Amazon's going to notify you to inform you if something that you want to test is too similar to what you have already. So let's say you have an image and you want to test it compared to another image, but the image is too similar, and Amazon notices right away that there's really not much of a difference between the two. They're going to tell you and notify you right away and let you know that it's not worth your time to run these tests. So you can do a different test. It's going to save you some time. The other thing is they're going to allow you to auto-publish winning content. So let's say you have a winner, whereas before you had to update your listing. Here now you can auto-publish the results of whatever is the winner. You can automatically publish. Let's say you have a good image that wins out. You can publish that automatically. Like I said before, now it's expanding to bullet points and product descriptions. So you can test out bullet points and product descriptions to try to improve your conversion rate. And this is the biggest and the most important. Now you can experiment to significance, whereas before it used to take 6 to 8 weeks. Now, as soon as there is a statistical significant difference between your test, it's going to let you know. And then you have the option to auto-publish that right away. This is really important because now you can do more tests. And I would highly recommend testing on a regular basis because you want to improve your click-through rate and your conversion rate on a regular basis. This is what the biggest brands do. They're always testing. They're always trying new things. They're seeing how they can improve here and there. And they're seeing little tweaks that make a massive difference over a period of time. Because if you can improve your click-through rate and your conversion rate, like I said before, your ads are going to work better. If your ads are working better, then you're likely to have a better flywheel effect. And you could potentially get better organic ranking. And this is a major, major piece to that puzzle. All right. So Wayne, what I want to do now and to end this portion of the presentation is, let me see here. Oh, one more thing. Think mobile. Very important to think mobile. Because if you think mobile, a lot of shoppers are on their device looking at your products. However, we have the habit of going in and looking at our products from a desktop view because we're always on our desktop working. Just keep in mind that 60% of the sales come through mobile. Very important number to know, because if we're not optimized for mobile, we're missing out on some opportunity there. A lot of shoppers start off on mobile. They will browse late at night. They'll go through their phone, and then maybe they'll add it to their cart or come back the next day on their desktop and purchase from their desktop. So we have to think in both ways. But if we don't think mobile, it's going to cause us to maybe not to take the customer into mind when we're setting up our listings. So Wayne, do you have any insight or any questions that you want to ask?
Yeah, Mike, thanks for the presentation. There are two questions I want to raise. One question is, there's a saying, you shouldn't change your listings once you finish it, because it will mess up with the algorithms of Amazon. So I see in your presentation, you said a lot about doing more experiments. So what's your opinion on that?
I follow what the bigger brands are doing, and the bigger brands are definitely experimenting for sure. Like they're experimenting improve their click-through rate and then their conversion rate. I think there's something to say with being drastic about it, like going in and doing a complete overhaul. I don't think that's a good idea. I think in my opinion, putting your best foot forward right away is the best place to start, which means you start off with a really good listing, and then you make subtle tweak and improvements over a period of time. This way, you don't have to do a massive overhaul to your listing, and you have to change everything about it. You start off really good, you invest at the very beginning, and then you make tweaks and changes on a regular basis that are going to improve your conversion rate.
So, Mike, the other question is, you mentioned about the conversion rate. Is there a regular conversion rate during the peak season?
Is there a regular conversion rate? I would highly suggest going into Seller Central. And if you go to the brand section inside of your advertising, there's a brand section. It will show you what your category average conversion rate is. And then you can see if you convert better or worse than the category average. This is really important because it gives you a starting point for how your conversion rate is. Obviously, in the fourth quarter, likely that your conversion rate is going to go up because people are more there to purchase and shop, but it could be different depending on your product. But what I'd recommend, Wayne, that people do is know how they compare to the competition in their category. If you are like 10% conversion rate, but the category average is 18, I wouldn't focus in on advertising as much as I would focus in on the experiments to improve your conversion rate, because you know you're not doing as well as your competition, and your competition is going after the same keywords. So you're not in a good battle there. You're in a losing situation. You have to improve your conversion rate first, and then start to improve your advertising after.
Sure. So, Mike, thanks for the first part of the presentation. What's the next?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we have time to do that right now, Wayne, because it's a bit lengthy. But the next part, let me tease everybody, because this is a really good part. The next part is talking all about holiday creative, which is really important because we're going to talk about video. We're going to talk about how you can make easy videos for the holiday season. We're going to talk about some templates that I have, and we're going to talk about some new ad types that you can use before anyone else, including video. And then on top of that, after that, I think we'll talk about the search query performance report in great detail, which is going to give you a big advantage. If you learn the search query performance report and understand it and take action from what you understand, you're going to be ahead of your competition in a big way, because it's like the most important information, that search query performance report.
Yeah, couldn't wait till the next presentation. Thanks, Mike, for the presentation this time.
You're welcome. I'll see you all next time.